Welcome to another boring history story for sleep. Tonight, you open your eyes to the sound of the northern wind. The air is cold, the kind of cold that seeps through furs and iron. Around you, the soft crackle of a dying fire whispers against the dawn. You are in a Viking camp, a sea of quiet tents scattered across the frosted earth. The horizon glows faintly, caught between the grey of night and the pale blue of morning. Ravens call in the distance. Somewhere nearby, someone sharpens a blade, slow and steady, as if the rhythm itself were part of an ancient ritual. You shift beneath your cloak heavy wool, damp from the mist. The weight of your axe rests across your lap. Its blade catches the early light, dull but familiar, like an old memory. You are a berserker, one of the chosen few, sworn to fight with the fury of gods. Yet now, in this quiet hour before battle, you are still. The world around you hums softly the low breath of men asleep, the distant roar of the sea beyond the cliffs, and the faint beat of your own heart. Steady as a drum, for now there is no war, only calm. Only the ancient north, vast, endless, and waiting. So breathe in the cold air of dawn, and let us drift into the life of a Viking berserker on the Norse battlefront. Welcome, traveller. Tonight, we journey together to the icy fjords and misty forests of Scandinavia, to a time when the northern winds carried the stories of gods and warriors alike. Close your eyes gently, if you haven't already, and let your mind drift slowly toward the past. Imagine the soft whisper of the cold wind over the mountains, the faint shimmer of sunlight reflecting off the waves, and the distant cry of gulls over a frozen coastline. You are stepping back, far beyond the comforts of today, into a world shaped by courage, endurance, and the quiet rhythm of survival. Take a slow, deep breath, in and out. Feel your shoulders loosen, your body softening, your mind readying itself to follow the journey. The year is long past, yet the land remains eternal, its forests still dense, its rivers still clear. You will walk among the Norse people tonight, observing, listening, and feeling the heartbeat of a world both fierce and calm. Here, the clash of swords is distant for now. For you, this is a time of quiet discovery, of gentle steps along snow-covered paths, and the soft murmur of village life before the sun rises over the fjords. Let your thoughts settle as if snow is falling softly around you, blanketing everything in a serene white hush. Each flake a whisper of history, each breath a quiet rhythm that matches the pulse of the land. You are safe. You are here. You are ready to experience life as a Viking, not through the eyes of battle alone, but through the delicate, often unseen moments, the forging of iron, the preparation of hearth fires, the careful tending of animals, and the camaraderie shared around a low-burning flame as the evening deepens. The smells of pine, wood smoke, and salty sea breeze drift toward you. Imagine them fully. They fill the air, yet they do not overwhelm. They are part of this world, just as you are part of it now. The distant sound of the ocean's waves crashing against the rocky shore blends with the soft rustle of reeds and grass. Let each sound slow your thoughts. Let it guide you further into calm. Tonight, you are both observer and participant, moving through the past with a quiet, steady presence. Now, envision the village itself, tucked along the edge of the fjord. Smoke curls gently from wooden chimneys, carrying the warmth and comfort of early morning fires. The villagers are stirring, their movements calm and deliberate. A blacksmith hammers softly on a glowing anvil, sparks dancing and fading into the crisp air. Children stretch and yawn as they greet the day. Even in this world of strength and survival, there is peace, an ebbing tide of daily rituals that have repeated for generations. You walk among them silently, unseen, yet fully present, feeling the soft texture of woolen cloaks brushing against your fingertips, hearing the quiet clink of iron tools, and sensing the sturdy rhythm of a life grounded in the earth and sea. Breathe in this world, fully. Let each detail settle into your mind. the scent of cured meats hanging near the hearth, the shimmer of frost on thatched roofs, the distant glint of the fjord waters catching the early light. Every detail is gentle, every sensation calm. You are not here to conquer or to fight. You are here to observe, to feel, to drift alongside the daily life of a people, both brave and serene. Let your heartbeat align with this slow rhythm, each pulse a quiet echo of history's unfolding. Feel the wind once more. It moves over your skin, carrying stories of long journeys, quiet victories, and the enduring calm that exists even in a warrior's world. You are part of that wind now, brushing softly across the fjord, lifting the mist, caressing the pine forests, gliding over snow-laden fields. Each breath you take is a step further into relaxation, into the immersive calm that allows history to wash over you like the gentle tides of a quiet sea. And so, as the village awakens, as the smoke rises and the first light glimmers across the water, you let yourself sink further into this world. Your body grows heavier in its chair or bed, your eyelids softer, your mind slower. The journey has begun. You are here and you are safe. You are ready to move gently into the life of a Viking berserker, not through battle, but through the calm, steady rhythms that shaped their days. Let your imagination drift as your body begins to follow, sinking into the softness of night, the quiet of memory, and the serene pulse of history itself. The story begins not with people, but with the land itself. To step into the Norse world is to step into a landscape carved by ice, water, and endless time. You find yourself standing on a rocky outcrop high above a fjord, the air still and cool, touched with the faintest shimmer of morning light. The fjord below stretches deep and long, a mirror of polished steel set between towering cliffs. Its waters do not rush or roar. They rest in silence, a calm surface broken only by the rippling wings of a passing seabird. Breathe here for a moment. The air is sharper than what you are used to, filled with salt from the sea and resin from the forests. As you draw it in slowly, it feels clean, bracing, but also grounding, as though it clears a quiet path in your mind. When you release your breath, a faint cloud drifts into the cold air, vanishing softly, like smoke dissolving into the sky. Behind you, forests stretch endlessly, thick with pine and fir. Their trunks rise straight and tall, each one a silent pillar of green. Between them grow birches with pale white bark that seems to glow faintly in the dawn light. If you listen carefully, you can hear the soft rustle of needles as the wind passes through. It is not a loud sound, not a restless storm. Instead, it is hushed, like whispers in a language you cannot fully understand. The voice of the land speaking in its own rhythm. Beneath the trees, the forest floor is soft with moss, muted shades of green and brown. Patches of frost cling to the ground, catching glimmers of pale light, each crystal like a tiny star resting beneath your feet. You walk carefully here, every step cushioned, every sound softened until it seems you are gliding quietly through the woods. The Norse knew this forest intimately. It was their shelter, their workshop, their sacred ground. Each tree could become timber for a hall, a ship, or the handle of a tool. Each plant had meaning, whether for healing, weaving, or fire. Yet as you stand among them now, the forest does not feel like a resource. It feels eternal, patient, and vast. The trees are older than you, and they will remain long after you, watching silently as the centuries pass. From the forest, your eyes are drawn back toward the fjord. The cliffs surrounding it rise steep and rugged, dark stones scarred by ancient glaciers. Some faces are smooth, glinting faintly where moisture freezes, while others are jagged, breaking into ledges where small shrubs cling desperately. Ravens perch there, black against the grey rock, their calls deep and resonant. But even they sound unhurried, their voices echoing through the fjord in long, slow notes that seem to stretch the moment further. The water below carries its own story. It is not just a body of water, but a lifeline, an artery connecting village to village, fjord to fjord, and eventually to the open sea. It is the same water that fed fish to nets, carried boats to trade, and opened pathways to distant lands. But here, At dawn, it is still, quiet enough to see the reflection of the sky above. Pause to look up at that sky. It stretches wide, unbroken, brushed with pale colours. The horizon carries faint pinks and purples, while higher above the blue deepens slowly with the rising day. In the Norse mind, this sky was never empty. They saw Yggdrasil, the world tree connecting heaven, earth, and the underworld. They saw Bifrost, the shimmering rainbow bridge, stretching unseen between realms. To them, the clouds were not only weather, but signs, shapes painted by the gods, drifting slowly in their vast domain. As you stand here, you may notice how small you feel, yet not in an overwhelming way. Rather, it is comforting, like being held in something larger than yourself. The cliffs, the water, the forests, the sky. They do not ask anything of you. They simply are vast and calm, wrapping around you like a cloak of silence. A stream cuts down from the mountains, winding its way toward the fjord. You walk closer, listening as it trickles over stone. The sound is delicate, like glass beads tumbling gently over one another. The edges of the stream are glazed with ice, translucent and shimmering, yet the water continues to flow beneath, steady and sure. It feels timeless, as though it has been singing this song for centuries, unchanged by the passing of generations. You pause by the stream and kneel. The air here is colder, filled with the crisp scent of fresh water and stone. If you dip your hand, you feel the sharp bite of cold upon your skin, a reminder of how raw and pure this land truly is. And yet, when you withdraw your hand, the chill fades, leaving only a lingering freshness, as if you have touched something sacred. Turning again toward the fjord, you notice how the light changes. The sun has not fully risen, but its glow reaches faintly over the ridge, casting a pale silver across the water. Slowly, patiently, the world brightens. The shadows of the cliffs grow softer, the mist above the water begins to lift, and the outlines of distant hills sharpen in clarity. It is as if the land is waking alongside you, unhurried, content to stretch itself gently into the day. This is the land that shaped the Norse, rugged, vast, sometimes unforgiving, but always beautiful. It is a place where silence holds power, where the air itself feels alive, and where every stone, tree, and wave carries a story. For you standing here, it is an invitation to slow your breathing, to let your thoughts settle, and to walk gently into a world where time moves differently. And so, you remain for a moment longer, listening to the wind, watching the still water, and feeling the vastness of forest and sky around you. The fjord is not just scenery, it is the threshold into another life. One where you may soon step among villages, ships, and stories long past, yet never forgotten. As you walk slowly down from the cliffs toward the fjord, the vast silence of nature begins to change. Faint sounds rise from the shoreline, soft voices, the creak of timber, the steady rhythm of oars dipping into the water. A village rests here, small yet alive, its wooden houses clustered neatly along the curve of the bay. From a distance, the village looks like an extension of the land itself. The houses are built low and long, their walls made of timber and turf, their roofs heavy with thatch. Some roofs are lined with growing grasses, turning each dwelling into part of the earth. Smoke drifts lazily from small openings, curling into the morning sky, carrying with it the rich, comforting scent of wood fire. You pause at the edge of the village, taking in the atmosphere. It feels quiet here, yet not empty, more like the slow hum of life unfolding in its own rhythm. Chickens wander near the houses, scratching at the frozen ground. A pair of goats bleat softly from a pen. Children run past in thick wool tunics, their laughter high and fleeting, before they vanish again into the maze of huts. Everywhere you look, the fjord is present. Boats are pulled up onto the shore, their hulls carved from oak, curved with elegant lines. Some are small fishing vessels, patched and worn from years of use. Others are larger, with high prows shaped into animal heads, their eyes watching the horizon. Men work steadily along the shore, scraping tar onto the wood, repairing nets, and checking the bindings of their ships. The rhythmic scrape of tools against timber blends with the soft splash of water lapping against the rocks. You wander closer to the water's edge. The ground beneath your boots is layered with sand, gravel, and seaweed, slick from the tide. A fisherman draws in his net, the rope rough in his hands. As he pulls, the net rises heavy with silver flashes. Herring, small and glimmering, their scales catching the morning light. He works without hurry, each movement deliberate as though the sea has taught him patience. The air carries the briny scent of salt and fish, mixing with the ever-present smoke of the village fires. Near the boats, women gather around broad wooden troughs, washing clothes in the cold water. Their hands move with practiced ease, dipping, wringing, and beating cloth against smooth stones. They speak softly to one another, their words drifting in and out of hearing like the gentle tide. You cannot understand their language, but their tone carries warmth, the quiet companionship of daily life shared. Step back for a moment and notice how the village is arranged. Paths of packed earth wind between the houses, leading up the slope towards small fields and pastures. There, the ground has been cleared for barley and rye, though at this time of year, the soil rests in silence. Stone fences mark boundaries, their rough shapes softened by frost and moss. Beyond them, the forest begins again, tall trees standing watch at the edge of cultivated land. A reminder that wilderness is never far. A hall rises at the center of the settlement, larger than the other houses, its roof reaching high, its doorway wide and carved with simple designs. This is the Longhouse, the heart of the village, where feasts are held, decisions made, and stories told by firelight. Even from outside, you can imagine the warmth within. Benches lined with furs, the glow of torches, the sound of voices weaving tales of gods and ancestors. But for now, the Longhouse remains quiet, its doorway closed. Instead, life hums gently around it. A woman kneels nearby, grinding grain with a heavy stone quern. The sound is steady, circular, like a heartbeat. Grain against stone, over and over, turning kernels into flour for the day's bread. The smell of baking drifts faintly from one of the smaller houses. Flat loaves cooking on a hot stone, earthy and warm. A fragrance that seems to embrace the air itself. A dog trots past you, thick-furred and alert. It pauses for a moment, sniffing at your boots before continuing on, its tail wagging slowly. In the distance, more animals graze. A few sheep, a tethered cow, their breath rising in small clouds against the cold. The sounds of the village blend together, dogs barking, children calling, the ring of an axe splitting wood, all softened by the steady hush of water and wind. You wander toward a small jetty where a boat is being prepared. Young men carry bundles of rope, barrels and sacks, placing them carefully into the hull. One pauses to lift his head, gazing out over the fjord. His expression is calm, but there is a hint of distance in his eyes, as though he is already imagining the sea beyond these sheltered waters. For this is a world not only of staying but of going, a world of travel, trade, and raids across the open ocean. Yet in this moment the boat remains tethered, and the men work without rush, guided by the patience of the tide. As you walk slowly through the village, you notice how the people live close to both land and sea. Their food, clothing, and tools come directly from the world around them. Wool spun into yarn, hides stretched into leather, iron worked into blades. Each object has weight, texture, and purpose. There is little excess here, but also little waste. Life feels balanced, practical, and deeply tied to the rhythms of nature. The sky above brightens further now, the sun just cresting over the ridge. Its light spreads across the fjord, touching the village in gold. Roofs glow softly, smoke turns to silver, and the water shimmers as though scattered with coins. The day has begun, and yet it does not rush. Time here unfolds like the slow turning of a wheel, steady and unhurried. You pause one last time at the water's edge, watching the reflections ripple and shift. The village continues around you, voices low, fires crackling, ships resting in the shallows. It is not the clamour of a city, nor the silence of the wilderness. It is something in between, a gentle balance of human life and nature. And as you stand there breathing slowly, You realize that this quiet village is more than a place. It is a doorway into the world of the Norse, a world where strength is built from the land, where stories are carried on the sea, and where each day begins with the same simple rhythm: water, fire, and sky. You step away from the shoreline, following a path of packed earth that winds gently upward through the cluster of homes. The smell of the sea lingers behind you, but as you climb, another scent begins to take its place. The warm, earthy fragrance of wood smoke mixed with the faint tang of pine resin. It grows stronger with every step, guiding you toward the great hall at the heart of the village. The longhouse rises before you, its roof pitched steeply, stretching long and low across the ground. Compared to the smaller homes of the villagers, this structure feels immense, a place designed not only for shelter, but for gathering, memory, and ritual. Its walls are made of heavy timbers, fitted carefully together, insulated with turf and clay to withstand the northern winds. At the edges, carvings catch your eye, simple yet deliberate lines etched into the wood, shaped into spirals, knots, and animal forms. These marks are more than decoration. They are symbols of protection, memory, and continuity, tying the hall to generations who have lived here before. You place your hand gently against the wood of the doorway. It is rough beneath your fingers, yet steady, carrying the weight of centuries of human touch. When you step inside, the world outside softens instantly. The wind, the cries of gulls, the sound of the sea, all fade, replaced by the deep hush of an enclosed space. The interior is dim at first, lit only by shafts of light slipping through narrow smoke holes above. But your eyes adjust quickly, drawn toward the long central hearth that runs the length of the hall. Here, fire glows steady and low, flames flickering in orange and gold, embers pulsing like the slow heartbeat of the room. Smoke drifts upward in pale spirals, curling through the beams, before finding its way out into the sky. The warmth of the hearth wraps around you like a cloak. After the chill of the shore, it feels alive, steady, and welcoming. Around the fire, benches line the walls, covered with furs and woven blankets. Some are simple sheepskins, rough but warm. Others are soft pelts of fox or reindeer, carrying faint traces of forest and earth. Each seat feels prepared, as though waiting for voices, laughter, and stories to return at nightfall. Your gaze follows the length of the hall. At one end, raised slightly above the floor, is the high seat, an honored place reserved for the chieftain or head of the household. The chair there is carved from solid oak, its back tall, its arms wide, its surface darkened by years of use. Around it, the wood is marked with patterns of interwoven knots and shapes, reminders of both earthly power and divine protection. But the hall is not empty. Even in this calm moment of the day, quiet activity hums within. A woman moves steadily near the hearth, tending a pot suspended over the flames. Steam rises, carrying the savory scent of meat and herbs, blending with the wood smoke to create an aroma both hearty and soothing. The pot bubbles slowly, its surface broken now and then by the rolling motion of stew, perhaps lamb or goat, thickened with barley, flavored with wild onions or leeks. Across the hall, another woman sits on a bench, her hands busy with thread. She spins wool into yarn, her spindle turning slowly, her rhythm unbroken. Each motion is deliberate, practiced, a task repeated countless times, binding the present moment to a long chain of memory and tradition. Beside her, baskets of dyed wool rest in muted colours, browns, greys, ochres, and the faint blue of woad. Children move quietly through the space, their voices hushed as though instinctively softened by the presence of fire. One rolls a carved wooden toy along the ground, a simple horse with wheels for legs. Another plays with a small bone figure, its surface worn smooth from years of touch. Their laughter, when it comes, is soft, quickly swallowed by the great space, blending into the gentle crackle of the flames. As you sit on one of the fur-lined benches, your body begins to ease into the rhythm of the hall. The fire's warmth loosens your breath, slowing it, deepening it. You imagine the hall at night, filled with people gathered together, their shadows dancing across the walls as the fire roars higher. voices rising in song, cups of mead passed hand to hand, the clatter of feasting, the weaving of tales, of gods, heroes, and ancestors. For in this place, stories are not only told, they are lived. A man enters quietly, carrying a bundle of wood. He moves without hurry, laying the logs gently by the hearth before feeding one into the flames. Sparks leap upward, scattering briefly like stars before fading into smoke. The fire answers with a low sigh, flames catching along the bark, renewing their steady glow. You watch the process unfold as though it is part of a larger ritual, one of countless acts that sustain life in the north. Tending fire, tending food, tending story. At the edges of the hall, tools and weapons rest. A round shield leans against the wall, its wooden surface painted with faded red. Beside it, a spear stands upright, its tip of iron glinting faintly in the firelight. Yet here, in the warmth of the hall, these are not instruments of war, but quiet reminders of the responsibilities carried by those who live within these walls. As the firelight shifts, you notice something else. Hanging from the beams above are small charms and objects, bones carved into shapes, bits of antler, even smooth stones etched with faint runes. They sway gently in the smoke, their forms catching glimmers of light. Some are protective, meant to guard the hall. Others are offerings, tokens left for gods or spirits. Each tells a story, not in words, but in presence. You lean back into the furs, allowing the hall to surround you. The air here is thick with layers of time. Today's stew mingling with yesterday's smoke. The warmth of countless fires echoing through the beams. The memory of voices lingering like shadows on the walls. The longhouse is more than wood and stone. It is a vessel of community, memory, and belonging. Slowly, your gaze drifts upward to where the smoke curls and fades into the beams. You imagine it rising not just out into the sky, but into the realm of the gods, the ash tree Yggdrasil connecting earth to heavens. For in the Norse mind, no fire, no story, no life exists alone. Everything is bound, woven together like threads of wool, like runes carved into wood. Time seems to slow here, stretched out by the fire's glow. The hall does not rush, it breathes, it waits, it shelters, and as you sit in its warmth, you too begin to slow, to match its rhythm. The longhouse holds you gently, like a cradle of timber and flame. And for a moment, as your eyes half close, you feel as though you are not only inside history, but inside the very heartbeat of the north. The evening air is cool as you step quietly into the Viking harbour. The sun is low, dipping toward the horizon, painting the waters with shades of pale gold and gentle rose. The longships rest along the wooden piers, their carved prows reaching upward like silent guardians. Some are fierce dragons with curling tongues, others are serpents, their painted scales faded by wind and salt. Their sails, now furled, hang in neat folds, heavy with the day's dampness. The harbour is not loud, not frantic. Instead, it hums with the soft rhythm of ordinary life winding down. A fisherman bends over his nets, carefully teasing out a stubborn knot. The sound is gentle, a rasp of rope against his calloused hands. Nearby, barrels of salted fish are stacked neatly in rows, waiting to be loaded or sold at tomorrow's market. A gull cries overhead, its wings dark silhouettes against the fading sky, before settling along the pier to watch the scene unfold. You breathe in the air, sharp with sea salt, softened by the smoke of distant hearth fires drifting down from the village. There is the faint tang of tar as well, used to seal the longships against the sea. The air feels alive, touched by centuries of tides, storms, and journeys across waters that stretched farther than most could imagine. A boy runs along the pier, his laughter carrying softly over the water. He balances a wooden toy ship in his hands, setting it gently into the shallows. The miniature boat rocks and tips before righting itself, its tiny sail catching the breeze. His father, a shipwright, pauses from his hammering to watch with a quiet smile, pride in his eyes. You follow the curve of the shoreline, and the boards beneath your feet creak with each careful step. At the far end of the pier, two men speak in hushed tones. Their voices are low, but you can sense the weight of their talk. Perhaps they share word of trade from distant lands. Silks from the east, amber from the northern coasts, silver coins carried back from the markets of Francia. The Viking world was never isolated. Its people moved between cultures, carrying stories, goods, and sometimes conflict across the seas. Yet here, in this moment, the harbour feels still, tucked safely into the embrace of twilight. The longships rest like sleeping giants, their hulls strong, their keels scarred by countless voyages. You reach out, running your fingertips lightly across one, feeling the roughness of wood worked by hand. These ships were more than tools. They were lifelines, weaving villages into the fabric of the known world. To sit within one under sail was to trust the sea, to feel the wind as both an ally and a threat. The water itself is calm, darkening now as the light fades. Gentle ripples lap at the piers, a soothing repetition like the softest drumbeat. Every so often, the water catches a streak of reflected light, shimmering for just a moment before vanishing again. It is a reminder of how fleeting and delicate moments can be, bright sparks within the steady rhythm of time. As you walk further inland, the sounds of the harbour slowly recede. The hammering grows faint, replaced by the distant bark of a dog and the low murmur of voices from the village ahead. You notice the subtle shift beneath your feet as wooden planks give way to packed earth. The path narrows, winding upward from the shoreline, lined with grasses swaying gently in the breeze. The air is softer here, tinged with the earthy smell of damp soil and wood smoke. The village lies just beyond, a scatter of timber houses with steep roofs thatched in straw. From this distance, you can see the glow of firelight flickering through their doorways, each hearth a warm beacon calling its people home. Yet before you reach them, you pause for a moment, turning back to look at the sea. The horizon stretches endlessly, a vast expanse where sea and sky blend into one. It is quiet, but within that silence, you sense the echo of centuries, the roar of storms, the creak of sails, the cry of warriors setting out upon their journeys. Tonight, though, it is peaceful. The longships rest. The sea is calm. The people turn inward, seeking warmth and rest after a long day. And you too are invited to step gently into this world, to linger at its edge, where water meets land, where day gives way to night. The harbour, with its ships and its quiet workers, is a threshold, a doorway into the daily rhythm of Norse life. Slowly, softly, you turn from the sea and begin your walk toward the village, where the market awaits with its mingling scents and voices, ready to carry you deeper into this ancient world. The path from the harbour winds upward toward the heart of the Viking village. Your steps are unhurried, each one sinking softly into the packed earth of the lane. Ahead, the market square glows with gentle firelight. Torches flicker in iron brackets, their flames bending in the evening breeze, casting long shadows that sway across the timber walls. The square is not bustling now. It is quiet, softened by night, yet signs of the day's liveliness remain. Wooden stalls line the edges of the open space, their goods covered with cloth for the night. You can almost imagine how the place must have sounded earlier. Vendors calling out their wares, the chatter of neighbours trading gossip as much as goods, the bark of dogs weaving between legs in search of scraps. Now, however, the market has settled into a hush, as though the village itself exhales. You pause near a stall where small clay pots are arranged neatly in rows. Their rounded shapes catch the torchlight, glowing softly in hues of amber and cream. These pots once held butter, mead, or herbs gathered from the fields and forests nearby. Each one is marked by a hand, its slight imperfections a quiet reminder of the potter's work. The air here carries a mix of scents. Faint traces of roasted meat linger from earlier feasts, blending with the sweetness of dried berries laid out to cure. Beneath it all, there is the earthy fragrance of straw, scattered across the square to soften the ground and keep it dry. You breathe deeply, letting the layered scents settle in your memory, as though you are stepping into the rhythm of another life. A woman moves slowly across the square, a woven basket balanced against her hip. She wears a long wool dress, dyed in muted green, and her hair is pulled into a single braid that glimmers in the firelight. She is carrying the last of the day's bread to her home, loaves wrapped in cloth to keep them warm. As she passes, she nods gently, her presence calm, rooted in the timeless rhythm of caring for hearth and kin. Nearby, a child chases after a small wooden ball, the sound of laughter echoing softly before it fades into the night. His mother calls him back, her voice low and soothing. He scampers to her side, clutching the ball, and they disappear together down a narrow lane that leads toward the cluster of houses. You walk further, and the square begins to open onto other paths. One leads toward the hall at the village's center, the place where the chieftain holds council and feasts are shared. Another winds toward the fields beyond, where sheep and cattle rest in pens, their soft lowing barely audible against the quiet night. Yet here, in the square, time seems to slow. A storyteller once stood here, you imagine, recounting sagas by the light of the flames. His voice would rise and fall like waves, carrying tales of gods and heroes. Odin wandering in disguise, Thor lifting his hammer, Freya weeping tears of gold. The people of the village would gather close, their faces lit by firelight, their eyes wide with wonder. In these stories, the past and the present would blend, reminding them of who they were and where they came from. You linger near one of the market stalls where tools are displayed. Iron nails, wooden handles, and small knives with carved hilts. Each is crafted for daily survival, simple but essential. The tools speak quietly of a world where nothing is wasted, where each object holds purpose, and where beauty is often found in usefulness itself. As you step away, the torches crackle softly, their flames steady now against the dark. The square grows quieter still, as though it has fallen into a gentle slumber. And with it, you too feel your steps slowing, your body relaxing into the rhythm of the village at rest. The path leads you onward, toward the cluster of timber houses that circle the square. Their walls are made of rough-hewn logs, their roofs steep and layered with straw that rustles faintly in the wind. From within, a warm glow seeps through small openings, each home lit by the steady flame of a hearth fire. You imagine what it is like inside. Benches along the walls, furs spread for warmth, a single pot simmering above the flames. Families gather close, speaking softly, their words mingling with the crackle of the fire. Some mend clothes by lamplight, their hands steady and practiced. Others carve wood, shaping handles, bowls, or toys from blocks of pine. It is a simple life, yet one woven with care and endurance. Each task done with patience, each evening guided by the steady beat of the hearth. You pause here, just outside the square, letting your gaze sweep once more across the village. The market stalls, the torchlight, the quiet hum of families settling into their homes, all of it feels like a tapestry, threads interwoven into a life both ordinary and extraordinary. You sense that this village, though modest, is alive with a strength carried from the sea, from the land, and from generations who walked these same paths under the same endless sky. And now softly, gently, you step further inward, following the path that will lead you to the great hall itself, where flickering light and distant song await, ready to carry you deeper into the heart of this Norse world. The path slopes gently upward, guiding you from the market square toward the largest building in the village. Before you even see it, you sense its presence. The faint hum of voices drifts on the night air, mingled with the warm scent of roasted meat and smoke from pinewood fires. And then, at the crest of the hill, the great hall appears. Its tall timber frame rises against the star-filled sky, the roof thatched thick with straw, its beams carved with curling shapes of dragons and knots. 2 torches burn brightly at the doorway, their flames steady, as though standing guard. This is the heart of the village, not just a place of shelter, but the soul of its people. As you approach, the heavy wooden doors stand ajar, spilling light into the night. You step inside, and at once the world changes. The hall is warm, its air thick with the fragrance of wood smoke, mead, and herbs. Long benches stretch down either side, lined with villagers wrapped in cloaks of wool and fur. The murmur of voices rises and falls in steady rhythm, never rushed, but gentle, like the sound of waves reaching the shore. At the far end, the great hearth blazes, its flames leaping upward, casting golden light across the beams above. Sparks drift lazily into the air, glowing for a heartbeat before fading. Around the fire, people gather with bowls in hand, passing platters of roasted lamb, fish from the fjord, and flatbread baked in the day's ovens. The crackle of firewood mingles with the soft clatter of cups and spoons. You take your place along one of the benches. The wood is smooth from years of use, and a fur has been spread across it for comfort. A clay cup of mead is placed into your hands. Its warmth seeps into your fingers, the honeyed drink golden in the firelight. You lift it slowly, and the taste is rich, sweet, carrying the faint sharpness of herbs gathered from the hills. All around you the hall hums with life, but not with noise. It is steady, calming, as though the rhythm of the gathering matches the rhythm of the sea outside. Men and women speak in low tones, their words flowing like a river of shared stories. Some laugh quietly, their joy softened by the closeness of night. Others listen with eyes half closed, letting the cadence of conversation wash over them. At the hearth, a man begins to pluck at a lyre. The sound is gentle, each note ringing like droplets of water falling into a still pool. His melody rises and falls, threading through the hall like smoke, drawing the voices into quiet. Soon, a woman's voice joins the music, her song low and clear, singing of journeys across the sea, of sails lifted to the wind, of warriors who never returned but live forever in memory. The hall listens, not with stillness, but with breath, each chest rising and falling in unison, each heart moved by the song's slow tide. You close your eyes for a moment, letting the music seep into you. The fire's warmth, the lyre's rhythm, the singer's voice. It is all steady, gentle, designed not to stir, but to soothe. Even here, in the hall of feasts and council, the night has its own quiet power. When the song ends, a soft silence lingers before the voices return, subdued now, as though even speech respects the echo of melody. A platter of food is passed to you, roasted fish seasoned with herbs, slices of bread still warm, and a handful of dried berries. Each bite is simple, but deeply satisfying, a reminder that nourishment is both survival and celebration. Across the hall, children sit close to their mothers, their heads nodding with sleep. One curls against his mother's cloak, his small hand still clutching a wooden toy. The sight is tender, timeless, a reminder that even in a world of sea voyages and battles, peace resides here, in the hearth-lit stillness of family. A dog pads softly across the hall, its coat gleaming in the firelight. It pauses at your bench, looking up with calm, patient eyes, before lying down at your feet, resting its head against the wooden floor. Its breathing is slow, steady, adding another layer of calm to the hall's quiet chorus. At the far table, the chieftain speaks, but his tone is unhurried, more reflective than commanding. He tells of trade journeys, of ships that returned with silver, glass, and silk, treasures from lands beyond the sea. His words are not of conquest tonight, but of connection, of how the village thrives because of what the waters bring. His voice carries the weight of wisdom, but also the gentleness of one who knows that strength is as much about patience as it is about might. Time stretches inside the hall, unmeasured and soft. The fire glows brighter, though outside the night deepens. Around you, the villagers lean back on their benches, some with eyes closed, their breathing slow, as though the hall itself is lulling them into rest. You sip once more from your cup, the mead now mellow on your tongue, before setting it aside. The fire crackles, the lyre hums, the voices drift in low tides, and here, in the great hall, you feel the village's heart steady, calm, and eternal, beating in rhythm with the waves that lap against the shore. Soon you will step outside again into the cool night air. But for now, you remain in the hall's embrace, warmed by its fire, cradled by its song, and carried deeper into the dreamlike current of this Norse world. When at last you step out from the great hall, the change is almost startling. The warmth of fire and voices falls away, replaced by the cool touch of night air. For a moment, you simply pause at the threshold, breathing in deeply. The scents of pine smoke and roasted meat fade into the sharper freshness of sea salt, damp earth, and heather carried on the breeze. The sky stretches overhead, vast and unbroken, scattered with countless stars that shimmer like silver grains across a dark velvet cloth. Your breath rises in faint mist, curling upward before vanishing into the stillness. All is quiet here, though the hall behind you hums softly with life. Ahead, the village lies hushed beneath the starlight, its homes darkened, their doors fastened for the night. Only the faint glow of hearth fires flickers through cracks in the shutters, signs that families rest safe within. You walk slowly down the slope, your steps measured, each one cushioned by the damp grass and soft earth. The village seems smaller at night, as though the darkness draws it closer, folds it inward. Yet there is no unease, only a sense of calm protection, as though the night itself watches tenderly over the sleeping homes. At the edge of the settlement, you notice two figures moving steadily with torches in hand. The light illuminates their cloaks and the metal rims of their shields. These are the Night Watch, warriors who walk the borders of the village until dawn. They nod to you as you draw near, their expressions calm, not burdened by tension, but guided by quiet duty. Theirs is not the restless vigilance of a battlefield, but the steady care of guardianship. You fall into step beside them, the crunch of your boots joining theirs in rhythm. Together, you follow the winding path that leads between the outer homes and down toward the water's edge. The torches flicker against the beams of fences and the trunks of birch trees, casting long shadows that sway gently on the ground. The air carries the faint sound of the fjord, its water lapping against the shore, sometimes with the soft tap of a drifting piece of wood against stone. The watch speak only occasionally, in hushed tones, pointing out the brightness of the stars above, or the distant outline of a mountain silhouetted against the sky. One gestures toward the northern lights, soft bands of green and pale violet weaving faintly along the horizon, like silken ribbons fluttering at the edge of sight. The spectacle is quiet, subdued tonight, as if the heavens themselves know it is time for rest, not awe. You reach the shoreline, where the longships rest in their moorings. Their prows rise like shadowed guardians, carved with fierce shapes of dragons and beasts that gleam faintly in the torchlight. The ships are silent, their sails furled, their hulls rocking gently with the tide. Even here, where these vessels wait for journeys of trade or war, there is no sense of danger, only of pause, of stillness before the next dawn. One of the watchmen kneels to check the rope that binds a ship to the dock. His movements are careful, unhurried, and when he is satisfied, he rises with a faint nod. The simple act seems almost ceremonial, as though tending to the ship is an offering, a gesture of respect to the sea that has long sustained this people. You continue along the path, leaving the harbour behind. The torches burn steadily, but above, the stars shine brighter still, their light clean and cold. The constellations are familiar to the watchmen who point out their shapes. The Great Bear, the Swan, the Hammer of Thor outlined faintly among the stars. Each story is spoken softly, almost like a lullaby, as though the night itself listens and remembers. Beyond the village, the land opens into meadows and fields. The grass is silvered with dew, glistening faintly where the starlight touches it. You walk slowly through this wide expanse, and the quiet deepens further. Even the sounds of the sea are distant now, replaced by the faint rustle of an owl's wings overhead, or the sigh of wind through tall grass. At the far end of the patrol's path, you pause by a small rise where stones have been set in a circle. The watchmen lower their torches, and together you sit for a moment in silence. From here, the view is endless, the fjord stretching like a mirror of the sky, the mountains watching like ancient guardians, the village nestled safely at their feet. All seems balanced, eternal, as though this night has no beginning and no end. One of the watchmen begins to hum softly, a tune without words, deep and steady. The sound blends with the sigh of wind, with the faint ripple of water, with the hush of night. It is not a song of battle, nor even of work. It is simply a song of presence, of keeping time with the world around you. The melody carries no urgency, only calm, like a heartbeat slowed to perfect rest. The torches crackle gently, their flames leaning as the breeze moves through. Soon, the watch will complete their circle and return to the village, but you remain seated for a little while longer. The stars above seem brighter now, countless and infinite, their light reaching across centuries, whispering stories older than any hall, older even than the sea. And here beneath them you breathe deeply. Each breath is slow, each thought softened, as though your body itself is being guided into stillness. Around you the Norse world sleeps, and within it, so do you, safe, watched over, carried by the quiet strength of night. The night has settled softly across the Norse world, carrying with it a hush that seems to blanket the earth itself. You step slowly, guided by the gentle flicker of torchlight, until the path widens before you. Rising out of the darkness, majestic and quiet, stands a great wooden hall, part palace, part temple, a place where rulers and warriors once gathered to honor the gods, and to speak of matters far beyond the concerns of everyday men. Its tall beams reach skyward, carved with winding patterns of beasts and runes, and though the night presses in, the faint glow of firelight spills warmly from the slats in the walls. The air smells of pine resin, smoke, and the faint sweetness of honey that once dripped from ceremonial cups. You pause at the threshold, and for a long moment simply breathe, letting your chest rise and fall in a rhythm as calm and steady as the waves against the distant shore. Each breath seems to draw you deeper into the past, deeper into this quiet space between waking and dream. Stepping inside, you find yourself enveloped in a soft radiance. The hall is vast, yet intimate in its design. Heavy timber beams arc overhead, their polished surfaces catching the flicker of fire. Shadows move gently across carved panels, where stories of gods and heroes are etched into wood. Odin, the All-Father, is shown with his ravens on either shoulder. Thor raises his hammer, surrounded by curling waves. Each figure seems alive in the glow, as though they breathe quietly within the silence, keeping watch. At the center burns a long hearth, its flames whispering low. Around it, benches line the hall, and at the far end rests the high seat, once reserved for a chieftain or a king. Yet now the hall is empty, save for your presence, and the gentle echo of history that lingers in the rafters. The stillness is comforting, almost like the embrace of sleep itself. You move slowly down the length of the hall, your steps softened by rushes spread across the floor. The scent of herbs rises faintly, sage, juniper, perhaps remnants of offerings once cast into the fire. You imagine the hall filled with voices, with the murmur of prayers, with the solemn intonations of a skald reciting tales that stitched memory into legend. Now, though, it is the silence that speaks most clearly, a silence full of rest. As you draw closer to the hearth, you can almost picture the rituals that once took place here. The flick of a ceremonial cup, mead poured in honor of unseen gods. The bowing of heads, the rustle of cloaks, the steady beat of a drum that kept time with the human heart. In this world, the divine was not distant, but woven into the daily rhythm of life. Wind and storm, fire and frost, all carried meaning. To stand in such a hall was to be reminded that every moment belonged to something greater. The flames settle low, and as you watch them, your own breathing finds their rhythm. Inhale with the rise of the fire. Exhale as it sinks back into glowing embers. Each moment grows slower, softer, guiding you deeper into calm. You wander now toward a side alcove of the hall, where tall wooden posts are draped with woven hangings. The fabric shimmers faintly in the firelight, dyed in muted reds and deep blues, embroidered with spirals that echo the endless cycles of the sky. When you touch the fabric, it feels cool at first, then warm beneath your fingertips, as though it carries the memory of countless hands that once brushed against it. Here, perhaps, was where offerings of food or carved figurines were placed, left for the gods with quiet hope. You imagine a mother placing a token for her son before he left for the sea, a farmer bowing his head before planting in the spring. The hall was more than stone and timber. It was a vessel for trust, for fear, for yearning, for the steady thread of human faith. The silence thickens, but it does not weigh heavily. Instead, it feels like a gentle companion, encouraging you to slow, to linger. You sit near the hearth, resting your body as though you too are a guest in this hall. The fire glows low and steady. Above, smoke drifts toward the rafters, vanishing into the night beyond. When you look once more at the carved figures, their eyes seem softer now, less watchful and more serene. You realize that what once was fierce, symbols of thunder, of war, of fate, has become gentle in the quiet of night. History itself has softened with the passing centuries, just as your own thoughts begin to soften now, flowing like water towards stillness. The hall is no longer only a place of gods and rulers. Tonight it is a place of rest. The beams that stretch upward are like branches of a tree, holding the sky safely above. The hearth is like the steady beat of a heart, its glow never failing. And you, sitting within its embrace, are part of a story that stretches endlessly forward and back, one heartbeat within the greater rhythm of time. You close your eyes for a moment, hearing only the crackle of the fire and the faint whisper of wind outside. When you open them again, the hall feels even more dreamlike, as though you are already halfway between waking and sleep. This is the palace of memory, the temple of rest, and you are safe here. And when the time comes to rise, to step once more beyond the hall and into the cool night, you carry its warmth within you, the calm of fire, the strength of wood, the endless patience of silence. The door opens quietly, and the night greets you with its still embrace. Ahead, the path leads onward, toward the riverside where moonlight dances upon the water. The journey continues, soft and unhurried, carrying you deeper into history, and deeper still into rest. The path from the great hall winds gently downhill, leading you through a hushed woodland. The night is cool, the air touched with the faint sweetness of moss and the distant tang of salt from the sea. Each step carries you deeper into quiet, until at last you hear it, the soft murmur of water, steady and unending. You follow the sound until the trees open, and before you lies a river, silvered by the glow of the moon. Its surface is smooth, broken only by the slow drift of reeds near the banks. The water carries the reflection of the stars above, each one trembling faintly as though alive. The river here is wide, its current calm. To the Norse, rivers were more than just pathways for boats. They were lifelines. They offered fish for food, fresh water to drink, and routes that carried warriors, traders, and families alike from village to sea. Tonight, though, the river is not bustling with movement. Tonight it is still a mirror between earth and sky. You step closer, the damp soil soft beneath your feet. The air is cooler now, brushed with mist rising gently from the surface. You breathe deeply, and the scent of watergrass and pine fills your chest. As you exhale, a sense of release settles over you, like the river itself is drawing your tension away, carrying it downstream, far from this moment. You imagine for a time how it must have looked in centuries past. A longship drawn to shore, its curved prow rising like a dragon's head against the sky. The faint glow of torches along the bank, flickering as men unloaded cargo, furs, amber, carved wood, bundles of grain. Voices would have mingled with the river's song, low and practical, yet threaded with laughter. And nearby, children may have run along the banks, their feet splashing in the shallow edges, their joy rising like birds into the dusk. But now all of that has quieted. What remains is peace, the kind of peace that settles deep into the bones. The longships are gone, their sails folded into memory. The voices have hushed, leaving only the timeless murmur of water over stone. The river does not need words to speak. It tells its story in flow, in glimmer, in the endless journey toward the sea. You find a smooth stone at the river's edge and sit, letting your body grow heavy and still. The ground cradles you as though it has always known you. You place your hands upon your knees and gaze out across the water. The moon has climbed higher now, casting a silver road across the river's surface. It looks as though it could lead you onward, as though one could step out and walk upon it, straight into the stars. Above you, the sky stretches vast and endless. The constellations, familiar to Norse seafarers, glitter in their appointed places. There is the Great Bear, Ursa Major, whose stars once guided sailors north. And there, faint but steady, is the North Star itself, the beacon of countless journeys. To the Vikings, these lights were not distant points of cold fire. They were companions. They were proof that the world carried patterns, order, meaning, even in the darkest nights. The river reflects them all, as though it holds the sky gently upon its back. You watch the mirrored stars shimmer and shift, and for a moment you are no longer certain where the heavens end and the earth begins. Perhaps there is no boundary at all. Perhaps, like the river itself, all things are connected, above and below, past and present, waking and dream. A soft breeze brushes your skin, carrying with it the faintest sound of wings. An owl drifts silently overhead, its shadow gliding across the river's surface before vanishing into the trees. Even this, the flight of a bird in the night, feels woven into the greater stillness, a movement without disturbance. You close your eyes for a while, listening. The river's murmur is steady, soothing. It fills the silence without crowding it, like a gentle voice repeating the same calm phrase over and over until meaning dissolves into pure rhythm. Time drifts, unmeasured, unhurried. When you open your eyes again, the mist has thickened along the far bank, curling like silver smoke between reeds. It is easy to imagine it as something more, a spirit of the river itself, rising to greet the night. In the Norse mind, every place held its guardians. Streams had nymphs, trees had unseen watchers, stones were marked with presence. To linger by a river at night was not simply to rest. It was to step into a sacred current, to be part of a living world. You bow your head slightly, not out of fear, but respect. And in that gesture, you feel a quiet exchange. The river lending you its calm, and you offering in return your stillness, your presence. Your body feels heavier now, your breath slower. The stars wheel overhead, and the moon's reflection stretches long across the water. In this moment there is nothing to do, nowhere to go, only the steady pulse of water, the patient silence of the night, and the gentle pull of rest, like a current guiding you safely downstream. When at last you rise, you do so gently, carrying the river's calm within you. The path ahead leads onward, away from the bank and toward the open land. where the night sky will stretch wider still. The journey continues, but each step is slower now, softened, as though you are walking not just through history, but through the very fabric of dream. The path rises from the riverbank, carrying you gently uphill until the trees fall away and the sky opens in its full expanse. You find yourself upon a stretch of open ground, soft with grass, the air carrying the faint scent of wild thyme and cool stone. Here, nothing stands between you and the heavens above. You tilt your head back, and the night unfolds, a canvas of countless stars, bright and shimmering, each one set in its place with quiet purpose. The vastness is almost beyond comprehension, yet it does not overwhelm. Instead, it steadies you, as though the sight of so many lights reminds you that you are part of something infinite, timeless, and deeply peaceful. For the Norse, the stars were more than decoration. They were guides. The great seafarers who set their longships across uncertain waters did not trust chance alone. They looked upward to the constellations that marked the turning of the seasons and the direction of the world. The North Star, steadfast and unwavering, anchored their journeys. To its right, the arc of the Great Bear circled endlessly, a wheel in the heavens that never ceased its turning. As you gaze, you can almost hear the creak of oars dipping into dark water, the hushed voices of sailors pointing upward, naming the lights. Each constellation held stories, whispers of gods and giants, heroes and fate. The stars were a map, but they were also memory, the sky itself a book that the people read by heart. You stretch out upon the grass, the ground cool and firm beneath your back. Your arms rest loosely at your sides, your breath falling into an easy rhythm. Above you, the constellations seem to shift, not in haste, but in their slow, eternal dance. You follow them with your eyes, tracing familiar shapes, letting each one draw you deeper into rest. There is the long curve of the Milky Way, pale and shimmering, a river of light flowing across the heavens. The Norse imagined it as Bifrost, the burning rainbow bridge that linked the mortal world to the realm of the gods. Looking at it now, you can see why. Its glow feels alive, pulsing softly, stretching endlessly from horizon to horizon. To step upon it in dream would be to walk between worlds, to leave behind the weight of earth and float into something brighter, freer. Closer, you notice Orion, the hunter. Though the Norse knew him differently, some saw the 3 stars of his belt as the belt of Freya, goddess of beauty and desire. Others imagined it as a sign of warriors forever crossing the sky. You watch as the stars glimmer faintly, each one a pinprick of history, a mark of the countless eyes who have gazed at them before you. A cool wind brushes your cheek, and you close your eyes for a moment. You feel the sky not only above you, but around you, vast and sheltering, like a cloak of deep blue velvet. The stars, though distant, seem to hum softly, a vibration too low to hear, but steady enough to feel within the chest. Long ago, when fires dimmed and halls grew quiet, people would step outside to look upward, just as you are now. They sought omens, yes, but also comfort. To know that these same stars burned above every village, every sea, every distant shore, was to feel less alone. No matter how far one travelled, the constellations were familiar, eternal companions in the night. Your breathing slows, matching the rhythm of this timeless view. Each inhale feels like drawing in starlight. Each exhale releases you further into stillness. The boundaries of your body soften, as though you too are part of the night sky, a faint spark woven into its endless tapestry. You imagine for a time that you are lying upon the deck of a ship at sea. The wood creaks softly beneath you, the water lapping against the hull. Overhead, the stars burn bright, guiding you as they guided countless sailors before. There is no fear, no storm, only calm, only the infinite map above. The ship drifts onward, as you drift, carried without effort, without need for direction. When you open your eyes again, the stars are brighter still, as though they have drawn closer to you. The silence around you is profound, broken only by the faint rustle of grass in the breeze. It feels as though time itself has slowed, as though the world has entered a gentle pause just for this moment of peace. The Norse believed that fate was woven by the Norns, three figures who spun and cut the threads of life. Looking at the stars now, you can imagine those threads stretching outward in all directions, binding past to present, earth to sky, dream to waking. And though those threads may weave many stories, tonight they form only one, a story of stillness, of quiet, of rest. You close your eyes once more, letting the stars remain as steady companions behind your lids. Their glow lingers even in darkness, tiny echoes of light drifting in your mind like embers. You are not rushing anywhere. You are simply here, resting, breathing, surrounded by the eternal calm of night. And as you sink deeper into this quiet, you know the journey continues still, leading you gently onward, into dream, into memory, into the boundless peace of sleep. The air grows lighter as you rise from the grassy hill. The stars remain above, steady and faithful, but the earth beneath your feet begins to change. The soil turns dry, the grass sparse, until at last the land opens wide into an endless plain, stretching so far that it feels as though it joins the very sky at the horizon. It is the northern steppe, vast and silent under the starlight. Few trees mark its distance, only the low roll of land and the whisper of wind moving across it. Here the world feels wide and boundless, a place where time slows to a near standstill. Each step is soft, cushioned by soil and sparse grass, the night carrying a coolness that settles on your skin like a thin cloak. You pause for a moment, letting your gaze sweep across the horizon. In the daylight, this land is one of journeys. Horsemen riding across its span, traders guiding their caravans, herders moving with their flocks. But by night all is hushed. Only the stars bear witness, shining down like ancient companions. The Norse themselves did not often walk these plains, yet stories of far-off lands, of deserts and steppes beyond the rivers, reached them through travellers and traders. Silk, spices and stories drifted westward, and with them came tales of endless skies like this, places where one could ride for weeks without meeting a single wall or city. Tonight, you find yourself standing within one of those stories, carried across distance by the calm flow of imagination. The ground is cool, but the air holds a faint dryness, a whisper of the warmth that lingers even after the sun has set. Each breath you take feels different here, light and clear, as though it has travelled far across the open world before reaching you. You walk slowly, deliberately, not hurrying, for there is nowhere to be but here, in this still moment. Above, the stars feel sharper, brighter, as though the vast openness of the land has lifted them closer to earth. You see the same constellations you traced earlier by the riverbank and in the garden, but now they stretch unhindered from one horizon to the other, their arcs sweeping grandly across the heavens. Somewhere in the distance, faint and low, comes the soft sound of hooves. You picture a line of horses moving across the steppe, their breath misting in the cool air. Their riders are wrapped in cloaks, quiet and patient, guided not by roads but by stars. For centuries, these plains were pathways between worlds, silent highways of grass and sky. Tonight they are a pathway only for rest. You lower yourself to the earth once more, finding a place where the grass grows in a gentle tuft, forming a natural bed. The soil beneath is firm, steady, grounding. You lie back, arms at your sides, and once again the sky fills your vision. But here, without trees, without rivers, without walls, the stars seem almost overwhelming in their number. They spill endlessly across the blackness, so many that it feels as though the heavens themselves are alive with light. Your breath slows, syncing with the steady rhythm of the earth beneath you. With each inhale, you draw in the stillness of the night. With each exhale, you release whatever weight you carried from the day. The step holds no judgment, no expectation, only silence, only vastness, only rest. The Norse sagas sometimes spoke of journeys beyond the known, of places so wide they seemed unending. They imagined lands where gods might walk unseen, where threads of fate stretched into distant horizons. As you lie beneath the steppe sky, you can feel the truth of that vision. The world feels larger here, yet at the same time, it feels safe, as though you are part of something too wide to ever be lost. The wind brushes gently across your face, carrying with it the scent of earth and faint herbs. Its sound is steady, like the long exhale of the world itself, calming and eternal. You imagine it lulling travelers to sleep, guiding dreamers into deeper rest, as it does now for you. You let your thoughts soften, dissolving like mist. You no longer need to follow the constellations, nor the whisper of distant hooves. The stars can guide themselves. The earth will hold you. The steppe, with its infinite horizon, invites you to release everything, to simply be. In the far distance, the faintest glow touches the edge of the sky. Perhaps the hint of another world, another dawn, or perhaps only a dream. Either way, it does not matter. Here, in the starlit steppe, there is only now, only stillness, only the gentle embrace of the night. You close your eyes, and the stars remain behind your lids, glowing softly like embers. The horizon fades, the earth steadies, and you drift slowly and peacefully into the deep currents of rest. The journey continues, but now it moves within, into dreams, into memory, into the quiet sanctuary of sleep. The night is deep now. Wherever you wander, whether across riverbanks, gardens, or the wide open plains, a hush has settled. The world itself seems to have drawn in a long, slow breath, holding it gently. You find yourself walking once more along the quiet streets of an old settlement. The stones beneath your feet are smooth with age, worn by the countless steps of those who came before. Though the alleys are silent, you can almost hear them. Echoes of voices that once filled the night, footsteps that rang against the cobbles, laughter carried on the air like a fleeting song. Though these streets are silent now, they once carried life. Children once played here, chasing one another in the fading light of the day. Merchants once unpacked their wares, their stalls filled with goods from near and far. Sailors once returned home, their boots heavy from the sea, their eyes bright with stories. And warriors once strode these very paths, their armour glinting faintly in the torchlight, their voices bold, their hearts fierce. But time has softened all of it. What remains now is memory, soft and faded, like the impression left on sand when the tide has long receded. You pause, standing in the middle of an empty street, and close your eyes. For a moment, you let yourself imagine it all around you again. The low murmur of voices, the flicker of torches, the smell of baked bread drifting from a nearby hearth, the faint clang of a smith at his forge. And then, with the next breath, you let it go. The sounds dissolve back into silence. The houses remain still, their shadows long and quiet. The torchlight is gone, leaving only starlight, silver and steady. The past has whispered, and now it has retreated once more. You walk on, slowly, gently, Your steps are not hurried, for there is nowhere to reach. With each stride, you reflect on how entire lives were once lived here, full of the same small moments that make up your own days. The joy of friendship, the weight of worry, the sweetness of shared meals, the quiet relief of rest, and yet all of it passed, just as this moment will pass. And that is not sorrowful. It is natural, like the flowing of water, the drifting of clouds, the rising and setting of the sun. The past has left behind a gift, not its noise nor its urgency, but its stillness, a reminder that everything eventually softens. You pause again and lift your gaze upward. The stars are above you, just as they were above them. The same constellations that guided ships and wanderers, the same lights that comforted children in their beds, the same sky that lovers once watched together, hand in hand. The sky does not change. It has seen all of it, and it holds all of it. There is something profoundly soothing in that thought, that though the world shifts and changes, though voices fade and walls crumble, the stars remain. They are the eternal witnesses, the gentle keepers of memory, and tonight they shine for you, just as they shone for those who walked these streets centuries ago. The stones beneath your feet are cool, the air is calm, you breathe in deeply, allowing yourself to sink into this timelessness. History has a way of reminding us of something very simple, that we too are part of a larger story. We are not separate. We walk the same earth, breathe the same air, rest beneath the same sky. You take a few more steps and find yourself at the edge of the settlement, where the houses thin and the land opens into a small field. The grass stirs gently in the night breeze. A single path stretches outward, leading nowhere in particular, perhaps to another village, perhaps to the sea, perhaps only into dreams. You stop there, at the threshold between what was and what is, and you linger. The silence feels almost like a lullaby now, steady, tender, enfolding. It carries no demands. It asks nothing of you. It only invites you to rest, to release, to let the world grow soft around you. Your eyelids grow heavier as you remain there. The night is not lonely. It is generous. It holds you gently, like a mother rocking a child. You do not need to imagine the clamour of the past any longer. The silence is enough. The quiet is its own comfort. And so you stand, breathing slowly, feeling your body grow lighter, your thoughts dimmer, your heart calmer. You are not rushing forward anymore. You are simply here, in the stillness, in the night. The path you follow from the quiet settlement curves gently downward, guiding you toward the edge of a river. You can hear it before you see it, the faint murmur of water moving steadily, endlessly, as though it has always known its course. The sound is soft, like a whisper across stone, soothing in its constancy. As you draw nearer, the scent of the river rises, a mingling of damp earth, fresh reeds, and the faint trace of wood smoke drifting from somewhere far away. The air is cooler here, brushing lightly against your skin, carrying with it the stillness of night. At last, you step onto the riverbank. The water glimmers in the starlight, shifting like liquid silver, each ripple catching the faint glow of the sky above. You pause and let the sight steady you. The surface of the river is never still, yet it never rushes. It moves with patience, carrying memories from one place to another. You settle on a smooth stone by the edge of the water. From here, you can watch the river's slow dance. The reeds sway gently along the bank, and the occasional flicker of movement suggests a fish stirring just beneath the surface. Somewhere, further down the water, a night bird calls once before falling silent again. As you sit, your mind drifts into reflection. How many lives must have been tied to this river? How many footsteps once pressed into this same soil, pausing at the edge to draw water, to wash, to gaze at their reflection? It is easy to imagine a group of children splashing at the shallows, their laughter ringing across the air. A mother bending to fill a clay jug, balancing it on her shoulder as she walks back to her home. A warrior returning from a long journey, crouching here to cleanse his hands, letting the cool water ease the dust of the road. A poet seated at this very spot, gazing at the stars mirrored in the ripples, shaping words that would be carried down through time. And now it is only you, resting quietly, bearing witness. The river carries all of it within its flow, the joy, the sorrow, the songs, the silences. None of it is lost. It is all absorbed into the movement, carried gently onward, never clinging, never holding back. You trail your fingers in the water. It is cool, almost startling. But as your hand lingers, the sensation becomes grounding, even calming. Each ripple spreads outward, dissolving almost instantly into the whole. It reminds you that life is much the same. Moments ripple outward, touching others, but soon they soften, returning to the wider flow of time. Above, the sky is vast and unbroken. The stars shine clearly here, reflected in the river below. It is as though the heavens themselves have descended into the water, creating a twin world, one above and one beneath. For centuries, people must have looked at this same sight and felt a sense of connection, that quiet realization that we are not separate from the universe, but part of it, held within its endless design. You breathe in deeply, allowing your chest to rise and fall with the same rhythm as the water's flow. Slowly, steadily, you let your body loosen. The river seems to murmur with each breath, reminding you that it is all right to release, to drift, to let go of the weight of wakefulness. Your eyes follow the current as it moves into the distance. Somewhere far away, it may widen into the sea, joining the vast expanse of waters that touch every shore. The people who lived here must have known this too, that their river was not isolated, but connected to a greater whole. And perhaps that gave them comfort. As it gives you comfort now, the river becomes almost a companion as you linger. Its voice is gentle and constant, a lullaby sung by the earth itself. You can imagine travelers stopping here after long journeys, resting by the water, letting its sound soothe them into sleep. Tonight, you are like one of them, a wanderer in time, finding rest at the water's edge. You lean back slightly, your gaze softening, half on the stars above, half on their reflection below. The boundary between the two blurs until it seems as though you are suspended in both worlds at once, cradled between heaven and earth, water and sky, past and present. The longer you sit, the more the night deepens. A thin veil of mist rises from the water, curling gently across the surface, softening its glimmer. The air is cooler now, but it does not chill you. Instead, it wraps around you like a blanket, light and protective. You close your eyes and listen. The water's movement, the faint sigh of the reeds, the silence stretching beyond. It all weaves together into a single sound, steady, tender, unbroken. It is a reminder that history is not only found in stories or stones, but in the quiet places, the rivers that have flowed since the beginning, the skies that have remained unchanged, the stars that continue to shine. These are the threads that tie you to all who have come before and all who will come after. You remain by the river for a while longer, unhurried, breathing slowly, allowing its rhythm to become your rhythm. With each breath you feel lighter, with each ripple calmer. The river whispers to you, not in words, but in sensation. You are part of this flow, safe within it, held by it. There is no need to rush. There is no need to grasp. You are already carried, already cared for, already home. You rise slowly from the riverbank, leaving the stone where you had rested. The path ahead winds gently upward, leading you to a small rise above the water. From here, The view opens fully. The night sky stretches wide and unbroken, a dome of endless velvet scattered with stars. For a moment, you simply stand still, letting the sight fill your vision. The stars are countless, each one glimmering like a tiny lantern suspended above the world. Some shine brightly, commanding your gaze, while others flicker faintly, almost hidden, yet still present. Together, they form constellations, ancient patterns that guided sailors across unknown seas and inspired storytellers to weave myths that would last for generations. As you gaze upward, you feel the weight of time lifting. These stars are the same that burned above the Viking ships as they cut through dark waters, the same that watched over warriors gathered by campfires, sharpening their blades, whispering their prayers, the same that shone upon farmers tending their fields, or children listening to old tales beside a hearth. In their presence, centuries dissolve. You too are simply another figure beneath this same eternal canopy. You lower yourself onto the grass, lying back so the sky fills your view completely. The ground is cool and steady beneath you, the earth supporting your body, while above, the stars invite your mind to drift outward into their quiet expanse. As your gaze softens, memories seem to emerge, not of your own life, but of the countless lives tied to this place and time. You picture warriors standing in formation, their shields catching the torchlight, their breath steadying before the clash of battle. You imagine the sound of steel meeting steel, the cries of courage, the thundering of footsteps upon the earth. And yet all of it is softened now, held at a distance by the calm of the night. The battles are no longer frightening. They are echoes, like faint ripples in the water, reminders of the struggles that shaped lives long ago. The warriors themselves have long since returned to the soil, their weapons now silent, their names carried only in fragments of story. But the stars, they remain unchanged, shining as witnesses above it all. You reflect on how even the fiercest of struggles fades with time. What once seemed all-consuming, what once demanded every breath and ounce of strength, eventually becomes only memory. And memory itself softens, passing into history, until all that is left is the calm perspective that comes with distance. The constellations above you remind you of this. Long ago, the Norse gazed at these same stars, seeing shapes in them. Bears, serpents, hunters, ships. They used them to find their way, to measure the passing of seasons, to anchor their stories of gods and heroes. Each light became a symbol, a guide, a reminder that human lives were part of something larger, woven into the cosmos itself. And so the stars above you tonight are more than lights. They are a bridge linking past to present. They tell you, nothing is ever truly lost. Every story, every voice, every moment of triumph and struggle is carried forward, reflected in the starlight, even as the world below changes endlessly. You breathe in deeply, letting the air fill you slowly, then release it with ease. Each breath seems to sync with the rhythm of the sky itself, vast, patient, unhurried. The more you focus on the stars, the smaller your worries feel, until they dissolve like clouds, leaving only the steady brilliance of the night. Your thoughts return, gently, to the warriors of old. They must have looked at these same constellations before setting out to battle, wondering if they would see them again. For some, the stars were the last sight they carried into eternity. For others, they were the first comfort they glimpsed when they returned safely home. The stars became their silent companions, bearing witness to both fear and courage, both loss and return. Now those same lights offer you comfort. There is no battle for you to face tonight, no hardship to prepare for. Instead, the stars remind you that everything passes, every storm quiets, Every struggle softens. What remains is this: stillness, beauty, and the peace of knowing you are part of something eternal. The grass beneath you cradles your body, while the sky above cradles your thoughts. You are held gently between the two, safe and unhurried. Time itself seems to stretch, no longer rushing forward, but moving in slow, steady waves. You close your eyes for a moment, and even then, the stars remain in your mind, glowing softly behind your eyelids. You can feel their presence, calm and steady, as though their light has sunk inward, illuminating you from within. When you open your eyes again, the sky is unchanged, eternal, patient, watching. The stars remind you that no matter what may have once unfolded on these lands, no matter the battles, the victories or the losses, peace eventually returned. The earth healed, the rivers flowed, the people found their rest, and now you too can follow that same path toward rest. A cool breeze stirs, brushing against your skin, carrying the scent of distant pine and faint smoke from fires that have long since gone out. You let the breeze carry away any final remnants of tension, as though it sweeps through you gently, clearing, softening, leaving only calm behind. Above, the stars remain, infinite and unbroken. They have carried countless generations into sleep, and tonight they will carry you as well. You allow yourself to sink deeper into the earth beneath you, breathing slowly, eyes half-lidded, gaze still soft upon the glittering expanse above. The battles of the past are only memories now. The warriors have found their silence. And under this same sky, you too can drift into silence, safe, at peace, watched over by the eternal stars. The stars above continue to shimmer, steady and unbroken, yet your gaze slowly drifts downward once more. The world around you feels softer now, as though wrapped in a veil of quiet. The river, the earth, the trees, they all share in the same silence. A silence that feels both ancient and eternal. You rise gently from the grass, your body light, your steps slow. Each movement carries with it the awareness that time itself is slowing down, encouraging you not to rush, not to strain, but simply to exist in this calm unfolding. Ahead of you lies a narrow path, worn smooth by countless footsteps of those who lived long before. You begin to follow it, each step carrying you deeper into reflection. The path winds gently past boulders and patches of moss, past small pools where the night sky reflects itself perfectly, as though another universe lies hidden within the water's surface. You pause by one of these pools. Its surface is still, and for a moment you see your own reflection framed by the stars above. For just a breath, you seem to merge with the night itself, your features softened, your presence becoming part of the landscape. You realize that this too is what happened to those before you. Their lives, their faces, their voices have melted into the great silence of the past, leaving only gentle impressions in the flow of history. You linger here, allowing the thought to settle. Though their names may be forgotten, though their footsteps have faded, the essence of their lives is not gone. It lingers in the land, in the rivers, in the sky. It is carried forward in the stories told and in the quiet peace that follows after struggle. Walking again, you imagine the countless souls who once moved along this very path. Farmers carrying baskets of grain, fishermen hauling their catch, children racing with laughter, warriors returning from battle, weary yet alive. All of them once filled these spaces with sound and motion, and now it is silent. But the silence does not feel empty. Instead, it feels full, full of memory, full of presence, full of the gentle echo of lives once lived. You think of the Norse warriors once more, their voices shouted on battlefields, Their oars cut through waves. Their feasts filled the air with songs. All of that energy, all of that passion now rests. And you feel the same rest seeping into you. It is humbling to realize how the world continues even after so much has passed. The forests grow. The rivers carve their way forward. The stars shine unchanging. And in this continuity there is comfort. The silence of the past is not loss. It is peace. It is the soft settling of history into memory and memory into stillness. You reach a clearing now where the land opens wide, offering a full view of both river and sky. The grass bends gently in the breeze, swaying as though in slow rhythm with your breathing. You sit here, allowing the calm to deepen. The air feels cool upon your skin, carrying with it the faint scent of pine and earth. Each breath seems easier now, lighter, as though the silence of the past has entered into your lungs, soothing and steady. Your eyes close naturally, yet the images remain within you. You see the faint glow of campfires long extinguished. You hear the echo of voices telling stories, fading into whispers, then into nothing. You feel the quiet settling over all of it, as if the world itself draws a long, restful breath. The silence is no longer just around you, it is within you. It softens your thoughts, slows the beating of your heart, and quiets the restless movements of the day. It invites you to release, to let go, to trust the flow of time. For even as centuries pass, nothing is truly lost. Every voice, every life, every breath becomes part of this greater silence. And now, you too are part of it, resting within its embrace, carried by it into peace. You reflect one final time on the simple truth. Though battles may rage, though lives may rise and fall, all returns to this silence, all returns to stillness, and it is in this stillness that peace is found. You let the thought dissolve into your mind like mist dissolving into the air. You no longer need to hold it. You no longer need to grasp at history or memory. It is enough to rest here, in the silence of the past. The grass cradles you. The stars continue their patient watch. The river flows quietly in the distance, and you, safe, calm, unhurried, allow yourself to drift deeper into stillness. The silence is complete yet comforting. The silence is ancient yet welcoming. The silence is where all stories come to rest, and where your journey tonight now gently slows into peace. The journey is complete. You have walked through the halls of memory, across rivers and under stars, carried by echoes of the past. The warriors have gone quiet. The fires have burned to embers, and the voices of long ago lives have softened into silence. Now only the stillness remains, and it belongs to you. This is your time to rest, to sink deeper into the calm that has always been waiting. The past has closed its pages for tonight. The city, the harbour, the temple, the riverside, all of it begins to fade like mist before the morning sun. You no longer need to hold it. You no longer need to carry the weight of memory. It dissolves gently, leaving only peace. You are safe here, wrapped in calm, resting under the same eternal sky that has watched over all who came before. Take a slow, steady breath in, and then let it go. Feel your chest rise and fall like the tide, gentle and unhurried. Each breath carries you further into ease. The world outside can wait. There is no rush, no demand, nothing left to do. Just this moment and this quiet. Allow your body to release the last of its tension, piece by piece. Your shoulders loosen, your hands unclench. Your legs grow heavy, every part of you softens into rest. The ground beneath you is steady. It supports you completely. You do not need to hold yourself up anymore. You can surrender to the stillness, letting go of all effort. The silence cradles you, and in its embrace, you find yourself drifting deeper into calm. The stars are still above, constant and reassuring. They no longer feel distant. They feel close, almost as if they lean down to watch over you. They remind you of continuity, that you are part of something vast and gentle, and yet you need not think about it. You need not analyze or recall. The stars simply shine, and their light eases you into dreams. Your breath continues slow and steady. Inhale calm, exhale release. Inhale comfort, exhale every last bit of heaviness. Each breath takes you one step further down the path of sleep, and this path has no obstacles. It is clear, soft, and endless. You might notice your thoughts slowing. They no longer rush or scatter. Instead, they drift like leaves upon a river, floating further away until they vanish into the horizon. If a thought arises, simply let it pass. There is nothing to hold on to now. The night welcomes you, and you are free to rest. Imagine yourself lying upon soft moss, or perhaps warm sand. Whatever surface feels most comforting to you, it shapes itself perfectly to your body, as though it were made just for you. It supports you fully, allowing every part of you to feel at ease. Above, the night sky stretches vast and infinite. Around you there is nothing but peace. Let yourself drift with these images, a river flowing gently in the dark, a sky full of stars, a quiet forest where only the wind moves. Every image is an invitation to sink deeper, to allow sleep to come naturally, without effort. There is no need to chase it. Sleep is already here, waiting patiently. Your eyes may already feel heavy, or perhaps they have closed completely. Your body is heavier now, more relaxed. This heaviness is not a burden, it is a comfort. It tells you that rest has arrived. Your mind grows quiet, matching the silence of the past. Every sound, every image, every word melts into softness. The journey is complete. The history fades into dreams. You are safe. You are at peace. You are exactly where you need to be. Allow these words to settle like a blanket around you. The night holds you gently. The world is calm. You are calm, and as you drift further, let these simple truths repeat softly within you. You are safe. You are calm. You are at peace. You are safe. You are calm. You are at peace. Each repetition deepens the quiet. Each phrase carries you further into rest. You do not need to awaken until your body is ready. The night is long, and it belongs to you. Sleep will carry you through. You may dream of rivers, or of stars, or of nothing at all. Whatever comes will be gentle. Whatever comes will be kind. The silence now is deep, unbroken, and it is yours. Rest within it. Rest as long as you need. And if this journey brought you calm, if these quiet hours carried you gently toward rest, know that you can always return. There are more stories, more histories, more nights to explore together. When you are ready, you may subscribe for more relaxing history sleep stories. But for now, there is only stillness, only sleep. The journey is complete. The story is complete. You are safe. You are calm. You are at peace. Sleep now. Sleep deeply. Sleep fully. The world waits quietly, and the night is yours. Sleep now. Sleep now. Sleep now.